Here we are. Thank you all very much for coming to our Legacy Fund reception. My name is David Ames, as I'm sure you all know, and I am the president of the Easton Legacy Fund. And with me tonight, we have 4 members of our advisory board: Bill Ames, Gary Berman, Ken Michael, excuse me, Ken. Ken's over there, and Paula Peterson. So, and we also have 2 other very important people here who are essential to our operation. Pam Borbay. Pam does our website and social media. If you haven't had a chance to look at it, I hope you will. And also Tricia Grime. Tricia Grime is with South Coast, and South Coast is absolutely essential to our operation. They manage our portfolio, they handle our regulatory obligations, and they manage the grant application process. Tricia came all the way up from New Bedford to be here. It's a vacation week. Tricia takes very good care of us, and we're very fortunate to have her. So. And I'd also like to mention some other important people to the Legacy Fund. Fred Ames, who was for the Oaks Ames Memorial Hall. He and Joan Lundgren keep the hall very much in the center of community life in Easton. And Marie Kelly with the Smith Farm, and Marie and Rich Eastman have done a wonderful job of taking what was a really sad building and bringing it back. And it's not going to be too long now before it will be ready. And when it is, it will be home based for some important programs, particularly programs benefiting ex-military people. So, thank you. And Linda Thompson Clem, who was president of the Garden Club and is president of the Garden Club, or is not president, but was when we awarded our grant last year. And the project that the Garden Club received the grant for was the Tricentennial Garden, which is shaping up and it's going to look great. It'll be a permanent memorial of this 300th year. So that's great. So, and then it goes without saying that Easton's exceptional not-for-profits make a very big difference to the quality of life here. And if you think about it, this year's recipients, the NRT with its beautiful landscape grounds, and the many educational programs, a lot of them which probably take place right here, is very important to Easton, as is the ECAT, which is really the only remaining forum for discussions of community affairs left in Easton. So that's an example. And for the past 6 years, the Legacy Fund has given grants annually to fund or help to fund a not-for-profit project. And we believe that there is no better way to do something for Easton than by helping our not-for-profits fulfill their missions. I think I can still talk about all our grants, although takes a little longer than it used to. Fred Ames in 2020 with the Oaks Ames Memorial Hall got our first grant, and that was for new stage curtains. And then in 2021, the food pantry received the grant, and they used their grant for a new panel truck. The following year, it was Smith Farm, and Smith Farm used the grant to build a handicapped access ramp to the farmhouse. And then the Children's Museum, a couple of years ago, used theirs to fund 2 custom exterior doors. And then last year, Linda and the Garden Club used theirs for the hardscape at the Memorial Garden. That is it's something I emphasize because while we could do programs, we tend to favor projects. So the hardscape looked to us like it was going to be an enduring project, so we were happy to fund that. So I think we can talk about all the grants, but it's nice to have some idea of the impact of the grants. And for that, I'm very pleased that Linda has agreed to come up and say a little something about the Tricentennial Garden and the role that the Legacy Fund grant played in getting it established.
The Tricentennial Garden came about when the 300th anniversary was being talked about, and we said, what can the Garden Club do? And we decided that it obviously had to be a garden, but what sort of a garden was it going to be? Well, I happened to be talking to Ken Michael at the Historical Society, and we put our heads together and decided that was the perfect place, for a partnership between the Historical Society and the Garden Club, and also the perfect place to put the garden. There was a wonderful piece of land to the front, if you're standing looking at the Historical Society, to the front right of the garden, which was just a hedge, a few trees, some long grass, a bird bath, a few memorials, and we have transformed that earlier this year into what you see here. If you hold, thank you. Thank you. The whole of the area has been sculpted, I'll use that word, and what was once long grass right up to the hedge has now been transformed into what at the moment is still just mulch because it's too hot to plant. And in the center of what was the garden, we moved a flagpole and we moved a tree that was right there, a maple tree that's over there. We did not touch this historical and really gorgeous sugar maple. And we have built a pathway from Mechanic Street and from the parking lot of the Historical Society. And within it, we have built a patio which delineates the design on the windows of the Historical Society. So originally, Olmsted, which I'm sure you're familiar with in this area, he was going to do something in here, but all the plans that are left just show 3 ovals, 1, 2, 3, one to the left, one to the right, and one to the center. And so there was no instructions about what we could or we couldn't do. So we have done what we thought was the best. We wanted to incorporate the history, which is the archways of the windows of the Historical Society, and then delineated across here just as the windows are. Unfortunately, we couldn't put dragons on here like they have on the windows, though we might have loved to, maybe later. And these 4 corners will be formal beds. Each one will be exactly the same. And again, we can't plant until the weather calms down. And then all around the exterior, inside the hedge, will be shrubs, perennials, maybe a few annuals if we need a little extra colour. But as of today, this part and the actual beds where they will be around the outside is finished. So I invite you to go over and take a look. We haven't got the benches in yet. Again, heat, and we were going to do metal benches. Now we're rethinking that and maybe do teak benches. But that's where we're at, and we're very, very grateful that the Legacy Fund got the project off the ground. We still have a ways to go, but if it wasn't for you, we probably would still be talking about it, so I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Linda. You know, I was thinking I omitted something in my introductions, and that was Vinnie Martirano. Vinnie was the head of the Old Colony Y for over 30 years. He did an amazing job. And one of the things he did here in Easton was he was responsible for moving the Y from the too small location up in at Frothingham Hall down to the handle shop at the Shovel Works, where it is a tremendous feature to have right in the center of Northeastern. So, Vinnie, we're glad you could be here. So, it's always tough every year because the project applications that come in are good. They're really very good. And we have to make a hard decision. And this year, the decision was that we could not do better than to support ECAT. So we're very pleased that we were able to do that, and that their new studio curtain will be in place with our help. And at the same time, the studio curtain was not expensive enough to cover, to use up our whole grant, so we had some money left over. And very fortunately for everybody, I hope, the NRT needed some help with the exterior signage along Main Street. And so we were delighted to award the second part of our grant this year to the NRT. So at this point, I think we have Adam Carrero, who's the Director of Media, will tell us a bit about the ECAT's situation and how the grant is going to help, or what's going on at ECAT. And then Jen is going to do the same thing for the NRT. And before I get Adam up here to do his piece, there's a housekeeping note. We want to have some photos, which will be done expeditiously, but I think we'd really like to get them. Jen recommends the NRT barn as the best place to do it, and I think if Jen thinks it's the best place to do it, we're going to do it there. So anyway, Adam, if you could come up.
Hello, everybody. I'm Adam Carrero, the Director of Community Media for ECAT. On behalf of the Easton Community Access Television, I want to thank the Easton Legacy Fund for generously granting the money for our new studio curtains. The studio curtains is a small upgrade for ECAT. The way technology is and the way it's going, the funding, we try to find different ways to grant it, being a nonprofit community access station. I don't know exact times, probably a little more than 15 years ago, the town did have a cable access down at the industrial park, and Comcast decided to start shutting it down. There were several residents of Easton didn't want that to happen. So they came together and continued the community access station being a nonprofit. In 15 years, ECAT is still running now at another part of the shovel shops on 50 Oliver Street, and continue the enrichment of community access, the community of Easton, and the accessibility of any resident being able to come into the studio and produce their own show. Any ideas, we always are open, and we always try to help anybody try to produce what they want to do or what their story to tell. And now the way technology is, and we're going online and through YouTube, we're not just reaching Easton, we're reaching all over the country. Either with OA Sports, now somebody's grandmother down in Florida can see their grandson score a goal, and having artists from Boston and around the world come in and perform in concerts, and showcasing the concerts even at night and at multiple locations at the hall. Fred has multiple concerts going through the whole summer and the fall. The Queeset House has concerts during the summer, and the chamber festivals that we do, we live stream all over the web for people. But the grant from the Legacy Fund helps us continue the mission of ECAT, and that is to provide the community some benefits, not just not knowing what's happening in town, but keeping up to date. Big portion, I think everybody here knows about the government this past summer, but keeping people informed on all the decisions that they do, and also what other nonprofits, with the NRT hosting the barn dance for the new cows that just came in, and other nonprofits. But again, I'd like to thank the Legacy Fund for providing this little snippet of ECAT to help us grow and continue our mission.
Thank you, everybody. I don't know if this is working, but I have a big mouth, so I think we'll be okay. Thank you very much for braving the heat to come out to the NRT and celebrating ECAT and the NRT receiving these generous grants on behalf of the Easton Legacy Fund. As you all may or may not know, I am relatively new to the NRT, but not to Easton. And it's moments like this and events like this that make me feel extremely proud to be a part of these communal organizations, because I think at the very heart of what makes life so fun is the power of connectivity. And I'm so thankful to be with you all tonight, and also recognizing we have some of our board members. If you could either stand up or give a wave. We have Dennis, Alicia, Pim. Very nice. Thank you so much. They keep me on my toes. And I'm very proud to be here, and I'm also very proud to be working alongside with them. We've had a lot of really significant changes since my onboarding at the NRT. Recognizing the strong historical roots that the NRT has here in Easton, I really respect all the things that it's been a part of, how it's been tethered into everything that Easton is. And as we look towards the future, a big piece of that is reintroducing ourselves in the way that we interact with our community partners, the way that we offer programming, the way that we are present and transparent and communicative with residents and other communities and other partnerships. And a piece of that was redeveloping our website, reworking our logo. And so even though just, the piece of just changing the logo may seem small, it's really a message that we are moving into some greater things. And so the grant that we are receiving from the Easton Legacy Fund is really sending a larger message. It's going to allow us to change our signage, to modernize, and to send out a message to everyone saying, we're here, we're new, and pay attention because we've got some really great things happening. I.e., we've got our cows. We are doing partnerships with entities we hadn't done before, with the museum, with the library, and working really closely alongside with ECAT and hosting events and having these shared mission groups. It's a really exciting time, and we're really thankful for the support and the engagement overall. And I was going to have Carl our mourning dove said a few words. He's been the longest animal that we've had here at the NRT, longer than our sheep, longer than our rams. I also feel like he is a VIP of this evening. If he were to say a few words, I don't know all the things that he would say, but I do know that the fact that we're getting this in the same year as the tricentennial celebration is really, it's noted of importance. And we are actually going to be doing with our summer campers here a time capsule, which I think is a great opportunity to celebrate where we've been, where we are, and where we want to go. So if you have any recommendations, if you have ideas, memories, or things that you want to share, please come on by, continue to stop in. That office door is always open for conversations, idea sharing, brain sparking, and all of the things. So thank you very, very much to the Easton Legacy Fund for the grant that we've received. Thank you.